Visibility is only half the equation. Getting attention is easy. Turning that attention into clients takes strategy. VoiceLab was built to solve that. This is where front-end visibility meets back-end conversion. You learn how to get on stages, create your own platforms, and use podcasts, summits, and workshops to grow your audience and generate real leads. Then you learn what most people never build. A system that captures those leads, follows up, nurtures relationships, and turns interest into revenue. Email and newsletter strategy that actually gets responses. Workflows, not just more noise. Real connection that leads to real business. Inside VoiceLab, you are not guessing. You're learning the how. You're implementing in real time. You're building a business that works even when you are not constantly chasing attention. Because here's the truth. If you don't have visibility, no one knows you exist. If you don't have systems, nothing converts. VoiceLab gives you both, so you can stop performing for attention and start building momentum that pays you back. If you are ready to grow your authority, expand your reach, and finally turn visibility into income, join Colleen Stubbs and Nicole Borghi in the VoiceLab. Scan the QR code, join VoiceLab Group on the school platform, and build the business that actually works.
California HR leaders, SB 553 California Workplace Violence Prevention Law is now being enforced. 74% of employed domestic violence victims report being harassed by their partner while at work. The Workplace Violence Prevention Plan is mandatory, and domestic violence spillover is embedded within the requirements. Miss a component, and you are exposed to costly violations and audit risks. Our SB 553 compliance training equips your HR team to meet requirements across every stage, from planning and development to execution, training, and ongoing management. These mandates are complex, and your plan must be site-specific. Our strategy ensures both safety compliance and audit readiness. Key areas include personnel response, personnel safety, investigations, and scheduled debriefs. We are your SB 553 subject matter experts. Scan the QR code to challenge your knowledge.
Welcome to a world of unforgettable experiences and immersive marketing. Transform your events into extraordinary moments that captivate your audience. Whether it's corporate gatherings, product launches, or community celebrations, our immersive marketing solutions elevate your events to new heights. Immerse your attendees in a world of audio books and podcasts tailored to your brand. Engage their senses and leave a lasting impression. Explore the power of storytelling with our curated podcast content. From insightful discussions to entertaining narratives, we've got the perfect audio experience for your event. Ready to make your next event unforgettable? Scan the QR code now and book a complimentary immersive marketing call with our experts. Let's create memories together. Elevate your events with immersive marketing. Scan the code and let the magic begin.
All right, guys, let that magic begin. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here again with another episode of the amazing Pain Point Podcast. It's Wednesday. What do you have planned for your day? What is your intention? I'm your hostess with the mostest, the great and wonderful. That's what I say. And that's what the voices are telling me, so I concur. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Nicole Borghi. I am here, the digital diva, coming at you. And what are we doing today? We are looking and we are talking to the great Donna Riccardo about speaking. What? You say, I know, it's the time, guys. We really need to look at who are we marketing to? Who are we talking to? How are we getting out there? And, checking things out, getting on the stage. What are you saying? What are you saying to others, and how are you saying it? So check out our sponsors today. We have the Voice Lab going on. That is about simplifying your life on the front end and the back end, grabbing the mic, getting on the stage, and connecting and collaborating with other speakers. We have great master classes coming up. We have, let's see here, what do we have coming up this next month in June? We are doing it with a bang. We have Land and Leverage, a TEDx talk. That is with the great Frank King. He is the TEDx expert. He's getting ready for his 14th. That's right, 14th talk. He's got more than Bill Gates has got, so watch out, get out of the way. That's June 9th, 11 a.m. Eastern. And if you want to really leave that legacy, get on the stage, get seen and heard, get in the room. get here, come chat, come talk to Frank King. He knows things. He used to be a writer for, I think it was a Jay Leno show. So there's a lot going on there. Yeah, a stand-up comedian, did the road for years. So he knows what to do. He knows how to work an audience. And the second event that I want to bring your attention to, because if you want to be seen, you want to be heard, and of course you want to get paid. So you want to monetize your microphone. So Glenn Friesman, the chief evangelist, created the digital speaker app. So it's an app so you can get rid of all that time. It takes, he said, I believe he said, an hour and a half of average time to fill out just one form for one stage. You want to get paid, of course, you're going to take the time, but what if you could get all the emails? What if you could get reminders, who to call, who to talk to, when to reach out, how to reach out to them? It's going to go and work all its magic because it's going to ask you all these wonderful personal things. You can load a video of yourself, some of your swipe copy, or articles that you've written, and it's going to take your tone and voice. It's going to recognize your genius, and it's going to work for you. So that is on June 2nd at 1 p.m. Eastern. So you're going to want to get in that room, and hey, you know what? This is normally offered just to those members exclusively of the Voice Lab, but we are opening it up to other people because I know you want to get seen, heard, and you definitely want to get paid. I know I hear about it all the time. So let me bring the great and wonderful guest, Donna Riccardo. Thank you for being here. I am so honored to have you here and chat. We were just in a summit together, and man, did you own that room? Because the audience had so many questions for you. So why don't you share, would you please, with people who you are and what wonderful magic you do?
Well, I'm Donna Riccardo, and I have a business called Red Stiletto, Get to the Point. And it's a public speaking, training, coaching business. I'm a best-selling author of public speaking. And of course, I'm also a speaker.
Oh,
and I like to speak on speaking.
You do, and you make it so easy because it's just really this, you have this dynamic and great energy when you're in the room with people. I can see that it lights you up. It's what you do. It's how you take ownership of the room. And it's just crazy. But when we're talking, and I'm sure that you have seen it, I'm really curious what you see in this evolution that has gone on about public speaking, and seeing that a lot of people, I work with a lot of people that are kind of escaping corporate America, right? It's time to get out. But they need to get on the stage. They're not necessarily frightened or scared, but they have to kind of pivot, especially in a virtual space, and realize that every time they get on the mic, they're selling themselves. What does that have, how has that changed in the last few years for people?
I think one big thing that's changed is audiences don't really want the speaker to just talk at them anymore. There's always going to be that. I think there's always maybe a place for that. Sometimes we call those keynotes, but I think audiences want more interaction. They want to feel included, and they want to somehow participate and not just have the speaker talking at them. That's the biggest thing that I see shifting.
So you see a lot of difference, a lot of shifting. What is the main difference? And I believe you work with Toastmasters, right? So there's a lot of people maybe starting or kind of getting their message, a lot of clarity and a lot of structure in there, which is great. There's one of the places that I started to work with people, to talk to people, and kind of collaborate and communicate and build relationships with other people that were working. Some people were experienced, they've had years. I met Al Jensen through, I believe it was through Toastmasters, and he was a speaker coach at the time, but it's just people in the circle, and some people devalue that. But I believe that when you're talking about people just talking at people, they don't want to communicate. They don't want to get off the look at the audience, interact with the audience. They lose a lot of that connection. There's that trust recession. We want to build more trust. And you see it when we had the summit. People they're able to come off on camera. They're able to unmute because they want to have a conversation. So they give themselves permission. And I think we lose a lot of the audience in that way when people aren't engaging. It doesn't mean that you have to have the most charisma, but you want to have some type of personality, right? And you want to be able to have a strategy and structure, but you want to be engaging. So there's kind of that balance there, especially the difference with virtual.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So what does that look like for you when you're working with people and you work with people online as well, correct?
Yeah, online and in person.
Awesome. So when people are on, when they're working with you online and they say, "Hey, maybe I need to show up. I got to be in this little box. Where do I have my personality?" Because now they have a strategy and structure. But what do you tell your clients when you're trying to share with them how to be a little bit more engaging and maybe stop in the pause to look at the chat or look at the people in the room?
Yeah, I like to say, entertain yourself. I mean, as weird as that might sound, because when you're on virtual, right? Let's say we'll just use Zoom as an example. When you're on Zoom, it's you, right? It's you, and you can see maybe you just may have one other person, like it's just me and you right now, or maybe you have others that you're looking at, depending on what it is you're doing. But the camera is your best friend. The camera is the one you want to be talking to. So looking at all the other people, which I know is really the fun part and the best part, is not going to make the people on the other side of the camera feel connected to you if you're looking all around all the time. So looking right at the camera is going to really help that connection quite a bit. You
So
just
that's a little bit so kind of embracing the camera and knowing that the camera's there and knowing that they have to be different. Is there some tips that you can give people when they're in the room to say, hey, you know, because they start to worry about the camera all the time and then they forget to have a personality. How does what does that evolution look like when you're trying to develop your own kind of charm, your own wit and personality?
Well, I think one thing that is big, people tend to do this more in person, a lot more energy than you would have with, a conversation with one or a few friends or a couple people. You need a lot more energy when you're in front and you're speaking to speak. And then on Zoom, you need even more energy. You got to really bring it when you're on Zoom because people are, in the room, they can certainly do what they do, look at their phones, look away, but that's not as likely as on Zoom. They're turning the camera off, they're looking over here, they get up and walk away, they do this and that. So to be interesting and compelling on Zoom, you need even more energy, which is very different than shouting at the camera, right? That's some people confuse more energy as shouting at the camera, but that's not the same thing.
You know, that's so true. Thank you for saying that. People forget. It's like there was a few people that I had in uh, a room one time and we were having a discussion and we were working on an event and they just started, I'm not going to get that loud, but they just, they just, they wanted to make it impactful and they just started shouting. It was like, hey, can you want to, there's some influctuation you want to have. There's some movement you want to have. You might want to move your hands. You're different than AI. This keeps you, this kind of keeps that creativity there. People will connect with you a little bit more. That's why people are always filming themselves in the car, because it keeps them real. Whether they're having a full meltdown or they're eating their lunch or something. I go through those shorts sometimes and I'm like, why are you in your car? I don't understand it. But I think that gives them a different place than stuck in the studio. Hey, AI is not going to find me here, which is not real. But it's so funny when you see this because people, if you're always screaming and you're always yelling, people are not going to connect with you and they want to turn you off. And you guys, you're in Zoom. People can there's this magical button you can leave anytime. And so what do you share with people and say, hey, this is, we're giving solutions to people's online pain points in a virtual space and it feels like, oh, I'm stuck in a box and all your life you want to get out. So how do you move past that? Is it kind of like, hey, practice just looking at the camera, practice maybe having a few bullet points, so people will be a little more relatable. Do you start maybe with like a 30-second pitch and share with people, kind of dabble in it a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Start small, you grow from there, especially if you don't have a lot of experience. Start small, start where you are. And here's the truth, Nicole, is that you are in a box. So what? So like deal with it, right? Like you're in a box, and what you do and how you behave and how you look and how you act is all inside the box. So you want your gestures to be inside the box. I like to tell people to keep their elbows kind of velcroed to their sides. So that way they're not like, reaching to the camera, which is kind of weird for people, right? Because you're like a foot away. And keep your elbows in. That way you keep your hands inside the frame. Keep your elbows in. You still need to be animated. You still need vocal variety. You still need facial expressions. You still need to move around. You don't want to sit there like a little robot or stand there like a weirdo robot when you're on Zoom. So you still want to behave naturally. Well, I don't know. A lot of people don't feel speaking is natural, but you still want to behave like a normal human being. You just have to be aware that what's happening is only happening inside the box. But it's the same thing when you're on stage or when you're in front of an audience. There's always what we call the speaker area, right? And whatever you're doing is going to happen within that area.
Well, yeah, this is the area that you can have fun with. I know some people do maybe some glasses or they'll do different. I mean, you've got such a small area. Maybe you get a better background like yours. Yours is you've got this charming background and it's set up in that frame for you so people can see the red stiletto and it's marketing, it's your logo. And I moved recently, so I'm like, okay, where can I find the best lighting? So I'm still kind of shuffling around. So my savior is just the simple background here. And then I worry more about what am I talking about? What am I saying? It's so important. And I think when we move past those first kind of little tidbits and say, okay, now I have the freedom to show up. Now I have the freedom to shout out, not shout at the camera, but I have the freedom to show up. And then you can connect. And then, of course, how does that work into from that stage, that small stage? Because people need to connect. It's so different when you're in a corporate place. There's a lot more, even casinos went corporate. There's so many places that went into more of a corporate model. So you're kind of stuck in that box. So now that you have the chance to be super creative, sometimes that's just talking, sometimes that's just being human at the smallest point. So now just take that off your shoulders. But a lot of those people in corporate America get funneled, their clients get funneled to them, right? So if you work at Hewlett Packard, for instance, and maybe you process chips, you're in that chip department, right? You're processing the computer chips, or you're putting computer chips in, whatever they do. And those people will get sent to that specific department. So you have people, all this millions of dollars of marketing budget, but if they get on the camera and they're always ready to go and they're always ready with maybe a small talk, how does that evolution look when you're working with your clients and they're in a one-to-one, or maybe they do some type of group with you?
The evolution of
The speaking evolution coming forward, what would that look like for people when they're coming out like, hey, I need to develop a personality more than being scared to being on camera, but kind of developing my personality because I'm not stuck in corporate. I'm not AI. I'm an actual human. I'm creative being, and I want to stand out with my business so people relate to me.
Yeah, I think that people try to hide who they are. And I think that they need to just relax and express themselves, talk about what they know, and make it fun for themselves. I think it's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that they can do, because you can't make or force somebody to have a bigger, better, different personality, right? People are who they are. We all are. We are who we are. But you can bring out more of who that is.
Absolutely. I think it would help on a leadership level because now
Mhm.
you're saying, "Hey, I'm a leader. I've got my own business. I am the face of the brand when you're first starting out in a small way. And now I'm on the camera, so I'm talking." So it's just kind of keep doing it. I get a few people that come on my stage from different places that I network in because they can either come on a podcast or they can come on a stage and they know that I'm gonna share with them something like we did a live speaker panel last week, and you know, it wasn't shocking or gotcha questions. It was just kind of a round robin of people to kind of get the juices flowing, of people to connect with you, and a chance to be live. So you're not only seen in the room, but you're seen live. So we had some really good engagement on LinkedIn with those people. And I think, for that, what would you say to people like, hey, even just a speaker panel or maybe a networking, would you say that, that's a good idea to kind of develop your voice, and you're not there alone, you're with other people in support?
Yeah, absolutely. I say the more that you can speak, the better. Because what makes people really crazy and kind of insecure sometimes is that they don't do it very often. So then when they do get the opportunity to speak, they freak out and they, fret over it. And they're, usually they fret more than they prepare. So sometimes they're insufficiently prepared. And I think that it's the more you can do it, the better. Even if it's just those 30 to 60-second introductory things. I even like to say, think about what you're going to say before you say them, because I've been in a lot of networking groups, and sometimes you get people up there going, well, I'm not really sure what I'm going to say. I didn't really think about it. I don't really, that doesn't make you look good when you're mumbling like that. So at the very least, think for a few moments while you're on your way to the event or getting ready to hop on Zoom to this event. Think about what you're going to say. Think about what you want to leave people with. That's true for any kind of speaking, by the way. What do you want your audience to go away with about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. You want them to connect with you. You have some type of small call to action when you're on the stage. And when I have speakers and I talk to speakers, and I love to get on a call with the speakers before they get on the stage if I've never connected with them before, because I kind of want to get their personality, get a feel of them, and I want them to be able to know who I am. I'm pretty much a straight shooter. I don't want them to come in a room and be like, oh gosh, I thought it was this way, because everybody runs their stage a little bit differently, right? So if I'm running a stage and I'm building doing a done for you summit or a workshop or a mastermind or a podcast and publishing that for people, it's going to be a little bit different with what that client wants. But for me, I think like, hey, let me tell you everything that you're going to get up front, everything that's kind of expected of you. Send out a few emails. We'd love for you to use the power of invite and really bring people together, so we can connect and we can have connection. We can turn off the camera. We can do questions. We can really get to know people. And I think that's so important than just getting on somebody's random stage, because I don't know that people do a lot of research. Do you share with your clients how to kind of research the stages that they're preparing for?
You absolutely need to know who you're speaking to. So when I work with, then there's two different, I think, approaches to that. With entrepreneurs, the ideal would be to speak to audiences that have your ideal client in them, right? Because that's, as an entrepreneur, I would say that's the reason you would be speaking, would be to attract leads and clients, unless you're doing a keynote for an event. That's different. I'm talking about speaking for your business. And as a keynote or other speaker, even trainer, whoever it is, you always want to know, if you're not looking for speaking to your ideal audience, then you're looking for who is my audience and finding out, knowing about them, who you're speaking to before you get in front of them.
Yeah, that's important, because I think it's really important to have an aligned audience. Because if you're sharing with people, you want to make sure there are so many stages, and there's some stages that I've got on, and I'll just tell a personal experience. That way, people can laugh with it and feel comfortable. You because you know me, you've been there with me, you're going for the ride. But I was right after I'd picked a time, and I was right after somebody that I had connected to. She'd done marketing for years for larger companies, big corporate American companies, maybe something like a Nike or something, that large of a company. So she knew how to do marketing and social media engagement, but she was wanted to make sure that she became more personable and worked with people one on one to really develop their brand, their tone and style. She was going to be on this stage before me, which was fantastic, because it was like, hey, you need your marketing and you need to get on the stage, and it's really going to boost and level yourself up, just like we're doing right now. So that's what I had kind of phrased my talk around, and catered it to that. And I thought, okay, this is going to be the marketing of the thing. I looked up the person that was hosting the event, and I thought, okay, I see some of these other people. Well, the next person that came on after me was talking about being a sex coach. And good for you, more power to you. You're empowering yourself. That's all good and fine. But that had nothing to do with the two talks that had preceded it, right? We're talking about marketing, we're talking about branding, we're talking about getting seen and heard. And she's kind of talking about more private, intimate stuff locked away in the bedroom. But unless you're talking about it as a business, this is not, I don't feel that this is the right stage for us all to kind of collide on, and it becomes more a collision, and I feel like you lose that audience. And people are like, wait, what does this have to do with the last two people, and what is it going to have to do with the next? Because what about that next entrepreneur that comes on the stage? I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area of California. Look, and I worked in Las Vegas, so I've seen it, done it, whatever, right? Been there, done that, if I could remember. But it's like when you're on a stage, it's so important to be aligned with the topic of the summit, of the event, and really be aligned with that audience and bring something powerful to connect with, like what you're sharing with the audience today. You want to talk about it, how important it is to share that lead magnet that people are going to want to know. They're going to want to, because they're aligned to talk about their business and get on the stage.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to add something to what you just said, is that when you are invited and to speak, and there's a number of other speakers, one is not every host knows quite what they're doing. Some of them, it's new to them. They're still figuring things out. You're like, woohoo, I got invited to speak. That's great. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be one of 10 speakers, one of 6 speakers, whatever. But maybe there's a theme, maybe there isn't. But it's really good to know, first of all, if there is a theme. Second, do you fit in the theme? And third, who are these other speakers that are coming before you and even after you? And do you fit in with what's happening, with what's being said before and after you? It's that, because that reflects on the speaker, that reflects on you. So there's that, right? And the other thing is that if you're invited to speak, let's say a guest speaker in somebody's program, right? So I have a 6-week program, and I have guests come sometimes and do a 20-minute spot. So when you're on somebody else's program as a guest, do not upstage your host. Do not upstage. It's not about you. It's still their thing. It's their program. You do your thing and stay in your lane. You're there. It's an honor to be invited. Do not upstage your host.
Oh, I love that you said that. Thank you. And it's not just as a host, I see it for my clients too. When you're talking about upstaging, and it's a conversation that I try to just have a little bit of a conversation with the client to say, hey, you're able, or would you like me to? I can put on my black hat, and if you need me to, I can make sure to come on politely, come on the mic if a speaker's talking too long, if a speaker's going over time, or a speaker's talking about something, if they're going off on a tangent, politics or religion comes in, and that's not what we're talking about today, I can kind of guide them over and say, just come on, and give them a warning at the end, do a little housekeeping in the beginning and say, hey, if you go over time, 5 minutes over your time, either the host or myself, whatever, and I make an announcement and say, hey, I'll come in and just let you know, hey, you're at your 5 minutes, just to let you know we want to go ahead and stop and ask questions if that whether they want, or hey, we're going to take a break. So I want to go ahead and share your giveaway or something. Just kind of guide them and pivot. Not I don't want to call them out. I don't want to be mean to them. And you don't want your guests to feel bad about it. I've had to stop a speaker, and I had to apologize to a member of the audience because somebody said something that was just kind of really out of line. They thought it was cute and funny, and it was like, this is not the place nor the time, and it wasn't delivered well either. So that had a lot to do with it. It's your delivery. So I had to spend a lot of time apologizing to that person. So it can be really bad, but there's a gentle way to do it so the people in the audience may not have even noticed, right? They might not have noticed, they might not have seen it. And so you can handle it that way, or I share with the host, this is how we kind of do it. So that's why it's good to have somebody on your team that's running that for you, or make sure that you have the links and have you propped up and fully support you so you can concentrate on what's good for you, supporting yourself and your speakers, definitely your audience. Because if they're not your clients, you want them to be. And if they are your clients, you want them to return. And you don't want that to come out of their mouth like, oh, I didn't feel good. Maybe they're not saying mean stuff, but they don't feel good, so they'll not show up. And then you wonder why people aren't showing up. So I always kind of fully disclose that for certain people, maybe privately in a conversation, and say, hey, we took care of that. I'd love to have you come back. I haven't seen you in the room for a while. So there's things that go on. Lord knows if you have a Zoom bomber, right? You have to disclose that and say, hey, we're aware of it. We're taking care of it right now. So please bear with us. Let people know. But in that, when speakers come in and they're talking, and so now they have a fully aligned, they know what to look for, they know what they're doing, they know how to be creative, they know how to be unique, and they're coming to that stage and they have found their voice and they're really going through that. How do they go into that step of keynote and getting paid? Do you share with your clients and with people, how to move into keynotes and getting paid and really getting those massively wonderful events?
Well, I think it's also important, with that in mind, to still speak about what you know. I mean, I think maybe at one time, I don't honestly know if people are still doing this, and it doesn't seem like it because I'm in a professional speaker organization. But there would be a speaker, and then the people like the person, and that person would come in and speak about what that organization wanted. But I think it's really important to stay in your lane and be known for something. And that's how you can transition from, well, I think there's a lot of things you can transition from networking and doing those little short talks of 30 to 60 seconds, maybe being the featured speaker in some of those networking things. Maybe you get 10 minutes. Then you go to, if you have a business and you're speaking, then you go to speaking to sell, so speaking and making that offer as an entrepreneur. And if you're transitioning into keynotes, you can morph your signature talk, because as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be reinventing the wheel every time. You want to be able to have your talk and refine it and make it better and better and better and better. Keep getting in front of audiences of your ideal client. And then you can morph that, or you can always create a new one because it's all made up anyway, but you can take that into professional speaking, getting paid. But I think it's important to be known before you try to do that, because people aren't going to put you in front of their audiences, because being in front of an audience is an honor. And it's not something to take lightly, and nobody's going to put you in front of their audience if you have no experience and you have no track record. So it's important to get that first before you even try to get paid. Because as an entrepreneur, you can get paid by attracting leads and making that, your offer. But as a keynote, that's like a one and done. So if you can do both, even better, right? Get that keynote that can morph from your signature talk, or you can make a new one. But in the end, stay in your lane.
I love that you say that, because I get that question all the time. Hey, I don't want to pay to speak. I want to get paid to speak, which is great. That's a wonderful thing to do, because you should have different legs of your business. You should be out there. You should be so dynamically wonderful that you're getting on the stage and people want to hear from you. And maybe you could do a TEDx talk. Maybe you can get the digital speaker agent app and book more gigs with no grind, right? With none of the hustle and bustle. And you have the proof in the pudding. People are going to want to see maybe your speaker reels. They're going to want to look you up. They're going to want to see your website. I don't want to do all those good things. You want to get paid to speak, but there's an evolution. So if you're not even comfortable and you're not ready, you talked about this a little bit earlier. If you're not prepared, you're not doing your research, how are you going to do a keynote in front of people, even if you want to do live? You got to practice there, right? Would you want to get out to maybe local groups? Maybe there's some local groups that people can look for. What are the kind of groups that people should look for locally?
Absolutely. That's the best transition, I think, is speaking to service groups. Networking groups and service groups are a great way to go because they're always looking for speakers. And then you'll get usually like 20, maybe 30 minutes, depends on the group. The very first question you should ask them when you're reaching out to them is, do you have outside speakers? Because not every group will let somebody outside their group speak to their group. So that's always something before you waste your time, ask them that first. And then depending on if you're, what you're looking for, this is the transition phase, then if you are going to make some kind of an offer, ask the host if you can make an offer.
Absolutely. Ask the host, right? I love people to make an offer. Sell from the stage. If you can do it, go right ahead. I just had this conversation with a gal last night, and she does a lot of AI work. She is got this incredible track record, and she started out as a journalist, but she has this phenomenal education and experience, and it really gets me all excited. So she knows how to talk and have a conversation. She knows how to write. And she's going to come on to Plot Twist. She's going to be on the stage with us. I love this. And in June, and she's going to talk about more of those AI components and the tech tools that you can utilize. But she knows from personal experience that if you're writing an article, you're putting out your social media, you're putting out your marketing, you want that in your tone and voice, and you don't want to just strictly use AI, but you want to use it as a proper tool. So you don't want to think like, hey, I'm going to write a romance novel, or I'm going to write nonfiction from AI, and you can't even have a conversation with it because it's rambling on. I don't know who did that with chat. You guys need to stop. It just rambles on like a nagging mother or something. It's like, what are you doing? Just please share with me what I need. But these are the follies of being a speaker. I love to talk about, it can be crazy, but I like to laugh about it because it's not so daunting. I mean, when I started on the stage, I started in virtual reality. So I worked with, as a chairwoman of Confronting Domestic Violence, I worked with domestic violence victims. Some of them had years of experience talking to groups. Some of them had years of experience talking in just even community, even online. Some of them had no experience. So it was a wonderful place for them to come in like a panda bear, a giraffe, and feel free to come on the stage. And if they had to take a moment and pause, that was okay because they were in a group of their peers and they were in a safe little world just of their own. So that helped them kind of say, hey, I need to talk to people. I think for me, I see in this journey, and I've noticed over the years, that it just kind of helps you when you start to find your voice and your personality. It helps on a soul-led level to really build influence, right? Because you want to influence the audience to buy, you want to influence them to donate, you want to influence to build a community. And that's where you don't want to shout because you really want to get more to people's hearts, but you don't want to pain them and trigger them so much that they just leave the room. So there's kind of that evolution of it, and there's just a way to talk and have a more engaging time and a freedom. Because you know what? I think what's great about the virtual stages and virtual space, if you come back in 30 to 90 days, people might kind of remember you. So if you were bad and you bombed on stage, and then you have worked and done the research and the exercise, they're like, oh, I don't remember her being like that. Or oh yeah, I remember her, right? I'm gonna remember Donna. I remember Nicole. Let's connect. And they'll forget it. It's like social media. Give them 30 days, they'll forget all about it. So do it again. I think that's the freedom of coming on different stages, but really developing who you are and your worth. I think that's just so important. I love it. So if someone's bringing up their message, and I know a lot of people talk, put your mess becomes your message. There's an evolution. There's a way to talk to people. Of course, you're going to talk to different groups, and we talked about some research. What do you feel are maybe some mistakes that people make? Not necessarily the client makes, because we've kind of discussed some of that, how they can overcome, and there's a lot of tips in this. But really, what are mistakes maybe that people are saying out there on the theory of everything under the YouTube algorithm that you think, hey, this is tried and true, and hey, this is a mistake. Let's not do this. How can we make your talk better?
Well, I think first of all, people need to really consider what do they want to leave the audience with? Kind of where we started, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to leave your audience with? And is this going to be a reflection of how I want to be perceived? So I think that's super important. And then, does what I have to say make sense? Does it have flow to it? Is there, think about maybe, a couple bullet points. It depends on how long it is that you're speaking. If you're doing one of those 1 minute things on TikTok, you want it to be very succinct and to the point. You can't ramble and go all over the place. And, unless you're doing jumping jacks and flips and, other things to entertain people. I haven't seen speakers do that, ever, but it doesn't mean they can't. But think about what you're going to say and make sure that it makes sense, make sure that it lands, and practice it with people that they will still love you afterwards. Practice it as often as you can and get their feedback.
That's great. Yeah. Especially, yeah, people, get some advice and they're going to tell you, wouldn't you rather hear it from somebody that is still going to show up tomorrow? Is still going to talk to you after all that. They're still going to be there to support you and love you. It's not like the practicing violin. It's a little bit different. I think that's so great to say, hey, get out there, practice, try it in the mirror, record yourself, and get in a group. That's so powerful, for people speaking, they want to do everything themselves right now. And I think that's part of the trust recession is we've become such a DIY. I know the theory of everything because I watched 2 YouTubes in under 2 minutes, and now I know how the world works. So they go in there and then they show up on stage, or you see these kind of fails where people try things out and it's like you failed because you didn't put the practice in. You failed because you didn't take the time. You failed because you don't have the experience, and you failed because you don't have a team to support you, and you don't have collaborators. You need to have that kind of bestie in your back pocket that's really going to tell you the truth. Maybe you don't want to hear it, but you need to hear it, and you'd rather hear it from them and get mad at them than, the audience, because you're going to lose money. So when people are doing this and they're practicing, do you suggest that they, gosh, join a group, get to know people, get to talk with people, and you can see and support? And I think there's real big collaborations that come out of that.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important to practice in front of other people. Absolutely, because there's, like you're saying, it's always DIY in the speaker world is sort of an oxymoron because you really cannot, you can only do so much by yourself. You can't really, some people, they won't even video themselves. They won't look at themselves in the mirror. They won't even do that work. And then they wonder why things don't go well, is they're not getting the feedback. And worst case scenario, even if the feedback is only you, if you just can't bring yourself to practice in front of others, at least do it in front of yourself, at least video yourself or get in front of the mirror. I mean, I was in a contest, a speaking contest, like last year. And I was all prepared and I thought, and I resist the whole video thing. I resist that. I thought, let me video this. It's for this contest. I've never done a contest before. And I get in front, I video myself and I watched and I was horrified. So I made some changes and I won the contest. But I'm sure it would not have gone that way if I had not really seen what was actually going on.
100%, 100%. It's scary to look inside. It's kind of like a dark night of the soul when you do your first recording. You're like, oh, there's some skeletons coming out of my closet there, right? But it's so enriching to see that and get that support and get that practice in. I have had people come in into a call with me and try to tell me how stages are run and everybody run and how I should run my stage. I've had people on personal calls, and sometimes you're not always home. Maybe you're on your phone, or you're kind of readjusting things, or you're in a different studio. Maybe you're in a hotel room or something, And people miss that part in the first conversation. Hey, by the way, I'm coming at you from a hotel. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is okay. Just letting you know. And then they spend half the time on a 15-minute call trying to readjust your video. And it's like, I thought we were here to answer your questions, right? So it's trying to take control of that. And I say that as, you know, if you're coming to someone else's stage, again, this is what you've talked about. You want to honor that host. And if you're coming to someone else's stage, make sure you understand how their stage works so the host can support you in the best way. And that's, you show up and shine, you come support the other speakers, you come to the event, you show up, you're there for a little while supporting the other speakers, getting in the chat, saying hello, asking them questions if they open it up for Q&A, connecting with that speaker if they drop their LinkedIn in there. And of course, I dropped your guide in there. I want to talk about, have you talk about that. But this is the best way when I get to know how my speakers are. I know how to support them. And I love to support the community. Of course, you guys can get on to Voice Lab if you want to get on the stage. You want to share a master class, and I'm can't wait for Donna to share hers in here. We had kind of discussed that. She's got some cool things coming up, and I'm really excited about it. And this is a place where you can practice that. You can come in to Solutions Lab, to Voice Lab, and there's workshops in there where you can ask questions, get a blueprint, get a strategy, and meet coaches, wonderful people who have experience, that have done the thing, that know how it works, show up and shine, super supportive, like Donna, and is going to be there for you 100% of the way. Always somewhere to say, hey, someone that's going to talk to you, someone's going to share you some tips, some tricks, help you, you know, we're always reaching to perfection, help you really lead the way and influence your audience. That's what this is all about. And these are places, good places, comfortable places for you to meet people, do some workshopping, ask some questions, get some referrals. Who's trusted, right? So that's what Voice Lab is. It's a great community to find out who you can trust, who's going to be there to support you on this journey, and who wants to cheer you on, right? Support you, collaborate you, maybe affiliate with you. I've got your guide here. It's on Show Up, Speak Up. Is that what it is?
Showupspeakup.com. Yep.
Okay, so I'm sharing it with everybody. You want to share a little bit about what the guide's about?
Sure. It's all about speaking tips, but not your ordinary everyday speaking tips that you've already heard. These are actually tips that I gathered from watching experienced speakers. And in watching them and noticing the audience and noticing how I received things that they said and did, and noticing how how it felt and how the audience reacted, I thought these are things that any speaker can do, especially even a newer speaker can elevate the quality of their speaking right away if they pay attention to some of these things, which are easy to do. It's not like you have to be some speaker mastermind with 20 years experience to be able to do it. You can show up more professionally right away if you do these tips. And so they're not your everyday ordinary speaking tips. And we have that there for you at showupspeakup.com.
And people can connect with you through that guide as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So a great person to meet, you guys. Donna's going to be at the Plot Twist coming up, a gathering, so she'll be there live on the speaker panel, and she's going to share with you. You guys, really, it's such an engaging room, and Donna is just so open to questions and connecting, and this is the place to come in and get to know some more juicy tips, get to kind of feel in that vibe and get excited about getting on the stage and not really another boring networking event, or how to really sell your product. Because when you're jazzed, you want to tell people about wonderful things that you have going on. Maybe it's your workshop, maybe it's your summit, maybe it's your event, or just to buy your product, buy your insurance, tell them how wonderful you are. This is the chance for you to be wonderful, to be supported, to be edified, to be on the stage, to be the rock star that you are, because we have control of the media nowadays, and this is just the best way to get out there and to stand up and shine. Any last tips you want to share besides everybody can say hi to the kitty?
Oh, yes, she just hopped in here. Yes, this is Angel. Let's see. So the last thing, I just felt like I wanted to clarify something for everybody, because sometimes people, I think they don't realize that a stage can be any place where you're speaking in front of people. This right now, what we're doing is a stage, right? This is a podcast or a stage, speaking to a networking group where you're on the same floor level as the tables of people around you. That's a stage. A stage isn't only in front of an auditorium or a big, literally like a stage, like you'd see a play. It's not, with hundreds or thousands of people. I think a lot of times people think that's a stage. And I have good news for you if you're a new speaker, because sometimes new speakers will say to me, oh, I could never do that. I could never speak like that in front of all those people. Well, the good news is that a host is never going to put a new speaker in front of all those people, in front of their people. They're just not going to. You have to work up to that. But a stage is sort of a broad term that we use any place where you're getting in front of others to speak your message.
That's so true. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. Anywhere you go. So when you're at a networking event, if you're at a mastermind, you're coming in a workshop, anytime you have a chance to get on the camera, anytime you have a chance to put a question or to support somebody in the chat, maybe you're the only one supporting them. There's 10, 20 people in the room and nobody's putting anything in the chat. Put something in the chat. That's a stage. If you're throwing emojis up at the screen like this, you're getting seen and heard. You're bringing attention to yourself without upstaging the host or upstaging the other speaker. But show up and shine. That's your moment. Take your moment. Don't miss the moment to engage with people. Let them know, get in a private chat with them. Hey, I like your message. I like what you're doing. I want to, I want to learn more about coaching. You can get in a private chat with Donna. Just get in the private chat, start talking to people. Maybe, try to engage, just kind of like a DM message or something on social media. Reach out. That's how we get past the trust recession and how we're all get over our ADD, which we all have attention deficit disorder. We need more attention. And that's how you do it. So you grab the mic, you get on the stage, you have a giveaway or workshop, a place for people to go, a fantastic, phenomenal call to action, and you support people. So show up in the room consistently. Show up to support, show up on the stage, be the one that's there for a little bit longer, be the one that's there early. Why? Because people will notice you. It's marketing. You can do it for free, 5 minutes extra, 30 minutes. Maybe you're working on a project over on the side, but you're still talking, you're still supporting. Yes, we are multifunctional beings. So let's support, let's collaborate. I love this. So glad. And I look forward to, having you on the stage at the plot twist and hearing more about you, your books, and that experience. All right, guys, signing off. Everything's in the chat. Come register for the plot twist. And all the workshops and the master classes that are listed in here are free to attend, because we want you to see how important it is that we feel that you stand out and shine, and we are building a strong community.